fellow students, good day. My name is Dr. Idris from Bayero University, Kano. I am the person assigned to teach GSV 1201 stroke 2201 use of English. The lecture is for first semester 2020 stroke 2021 academic session. What you will be seeing subsequently are slides and voicing for group B2. Therefore, I expect students from agricultural engineering, chemical engineering, civil engineering, petroleum engineering, and automotive engineering. I hope you pay much attention to the voicing and slides coming subsequently. Enjoy reading and listening to the lecture. Thank you. Welcome to Module 1, Vocabulary Development. This is the first module to be treated in GSV 1201 and 2201. The essence of this module is to open other ways for students to build up their vocabularies. This is for school and after school use. And another essence is to improve students' spoken and written communication. Therefore, the following items will be discussed: denotation and connotation, registers and jargons, phrasal verbs, and idioms. There are so many different ways of improving one's vocabulary. The most common way is consulting dictionary. Although it's being perceived as a last resort, students do consult their dictionaries in order to confirm the meaning of certain words, in order to get the different meanings of certain words, in order to know about the usage of certain words, in order to know the spellings of certain words, in order to know how such words are being pronounced. Other ways of ascertaining the meanings of words range from origin of word or its etymology. Words in English do originate from Latin, Portuguese, French, Greek. As such, knowing the origin of a particular word helps you as a student to determine the meaning of a word and whether the word meaning can be derived from an inflection or not. Well, as I was saying, the second way of determining word meaning is its sound or the cause of its pronunciation. Meaning of words could be derived from their pronunciation. For instance, take the meaning of the word whisper, rustling, whistling, tick-tock, knock, beat. All these could be derived from how they are being pronounced. Therefore, this is the second way of determining words meaning. Simply put, how words are being pronounced could help in determining the meaning of these words. Third way of getting to know the meaning of a particular word concerns about the root or base of that particular word, because some words do derive their meanings from their root or base. Take for instance the word act, as is being exemplified as we can see in our screens. An act could be an action. Action could be active. Active could also be acting. So from the root of this word, or rather these words, act, we could get to know the meaning of these words. Take for instance the word teach. Teach is the root or base of the word teacher. Teacher could be teachers, could also be teaching, could be teaches. So we can get to know the meaning of these words by having recourse to the root or base of this particular word. The first way of arriving at a word meaning concerns about loan words. As I said earlier on, So many words in English belong to or are borrowed from other words. Words like, or rather, from other languages. Languages like Arabic, like French, like Greek, like Italian, like even Hausa of recent. English do borrow words from these languages. So we can get to know the meaning of these words by having looking at the origin or the actual language that such word belongs to. Another way of knowing about what the meaning of a particular word concerns about the grammatical category of that particular word. Because a grammatical category of that particular word or class may help in determining its meaning. We all know that English is an SVO language. That's subject, verb, object language. So once a word appears from the beginning, occupying the subject position, it may imply that such words is a noun. Nouns do perform certain action in sentences, and they could be replaced with what? Pronouns. In the middle of such sentences, we could have words like verbs performing such actions. So also at the end of such sentences, we could have nouns or noun phrases receiving the action. Therefore, knowing to know that this is a noun may help you to determine this is the meaning of this word. Knowing to know that, or rather, determining that this word is a verb, we can get to know easily that this is the meaning of this word occupying the verb position. Another way of getting to know about the meaning of this particular word concerns about the context. Context is simply an environment in which a particular word appears. Words happen in the midst of other words. For instance, take a sentence. There's no way a sentence or a word appears in isolation. Words appear, as I said, in the midst of other or in the company of other words. Therefore, knowing or getting to know about the environment, the immediate environment of such words will help in determining the meaning of such words. You know that what comes before that new words to you is a noun, and what comes after is a verb, and you know the meaning of that noun, and you know the meaning of that verb. So what the new word that come in between, you can easily determine that this is the class of this word, and this could possibly be the meaning of these words. Another way of getting to know about what the word meaning, or yes, word meaning is an intuition. We all have, as first language speakers, we all have our what? Intuitive meaning, intuitive knowledge. So once you are aware that you are, or rather, once you are a native speaker of a particular language, that knowledge you have in you will help you in getting to know the meaning of new words coming across. For second language speakers, one can improve his intuitive knowledge through what? Extensive reading and exposure to second language literature. Dictionary can be the last resort, as I said, in what? Determining or having a look at a particular meaning or the meaning of a particular word. Although it's important, but it's relatively discouraged at the initial stage, because exhausting the other ways will help you, it will help you to find it easily when consulting dictionary. Although consulting dictionary will help you in determining the pronunciation of words, word class, other meanings, usage, even spellings could be seen there in the dictionary. Yes, having discussed what we identified as ways of getting to know about the meanings of words in our introduction, we are now going to discuss the first item in the module, that is denotation and connotation. First, what is a denotation? The denotation is mostly regarded by scholars as an objective meaning or logical meaning or dictionary meaning or conceptual meaning of a particular word. We all know that words do have their objective meanings assigned to them in dictionaries. Therefore, denotation or denotative meanings are meanings we look up to seeing when open our dictionaries. They are called objective because words are being defined without any coloration to our experience or with our experiences, with our intuition. Therefore, denotative meaning is called a logical meaning without any coloration. A dictionary meaning because once we open our dictionaries, denotative meanings are the meanings we see. They are called our conceptual meaning because they all what denote certain notions. On the other hand, we have meanings called connotation or connotative meanings. Apart from the denotative meaning, words or some words do take certain meanings that are associated with what? Our experiences, our cultures, and our perceptions as language speakers. This is called connotative meaning. Let's exemplify the two concepts. Take a look at the word rat. Denotatively, we all know that rat is an animal, a four-legged animal, denoting what? A mammal. And this is the meaning once we open our dictionaries that we see. However, connotatively, if someone is called a rat, it connotes what? An associative, or rather, it connotes certain experiences we do have about such word rat being associated with what? Its original meaning. That is what? Denotative meaning. For instance, rats may connote, if someone is called a rat, it can simply connote that he is being called a thief. Therefore, associating what? The knowledge or experiences we all know that rats do have, that's their habits, with what? The denotative meaning. The second example could be a word fox. If someone is called a fox, it connotes such person is what? Is cunning or is very clever. The third example could be the word donkey, as we can see on our screen. A donkey, we all know that is an animal. But associating a word donkey with our experiences, if someone is called a donkey, we can simply regard that person as what? A workaholic person. Yes, in understanding the two concepts or in our effort to understand clearly the difference between the two concepts of denotation and connotation, is good we highlight their similarities and their differences. Let me begin with similarities. That is, both the denotation or denotative and connotative meaning are what meanings available to a language user. He or she can select from the two types of meaning to use based on context and based on situation, because it may require the formality and informality of a particular situation for someone to make use of denotative and connotative meaning. As for the differences, the denotation, as I said in the course of our discussion, is objective, its original meaning, and denote only features of a particular word. Only features of a particular word. That's in an effort to describe a particular word denotatively. Scholars or dictionary developers make use of certain features of a particular word to assign its meaning. While on the other hand, connotative meaning is based on our perception and experiences. Because what somebody may perceive woman connotatively may be different from what another person may perceive the word woman connotatively. Because to some, woman connotes beauty, while to some, woman connotes weakness. The second example could be the word denki, as we have explained before. It's based on experience that we determine the connotative meaning. Because to some, based on their experience, a denki may be someone very stupid, or it connotes simply stupidity. But to some, based on their experiences with the word denki, this can simply be identified as a workaholic person. Another difference between connotative and denotative meaning is that the meaning in denotation is stable. It's stable in the sense that it can only, or rather, the word car, for instance, can only be regarded anywhere in the world as car, and it remains a car. While connotatively, a car may what denotes another meaning based on the experience and perception of certain group of people or a particular individual. That's based on speaker's experience. Another difference between, yes, as I was explaining, among the difference between denotative meaning and connotative meaning is that while denotative meaning is stable, connotative meaning is unstable. It's unstable because it may be the negative connotation and it may be a positive connotation. It's there based on the experience of the speaker and based on the culture of certain group of people and based on their perception. Apart from this, denotative meaning is also concrete. It's concrete in the sense that we can see, we can touch, we can sense, and we can identify the real objects denotative meaning are referring to or is referring to. For instance, a donkey represents a four-legged animal. We all can see what a donkey. Unlike denotative meaning, connotative meaning cannot be sensed. It's abstract. For instance, because it represents our experience and emotion. For instance, thief. Thief, the word rat is being associated with what? A thief. Thief, we cannot see thief to some extent because it's based on our experience. We have just associated the meaning to the object or to the animal rat. It cannot be seen because we have nothing to, or rather nothing in the real world representing denotative meaning rat. Yes, it's also important to know that words do have certain or different shades of meaning as we have them in the connotation, as we have them in synonymy, antonymy, hyponymy, and all this. It's also important to know that connotative meaning yields synonymy. As we can see on the screen, saw can be orange and also can be what? Rancid, that's butter. Blonde can be hair and can be what? Brown can be dress. So all like this, connotative meaning yields what? Synonymy. That's having two or more than two words connoting the same meaning. It's also important to know that literary use of language what is a major avenue of what extending or using connotative meaning, as we can see, as we can see in metaphor, irony, satire, imagery, and all this. It's also important to know that connotative meaning can be negative and can also be what? Positive. Take, for instance, the word woman, as we have exemplified in our hearings before, that a woman can be what? Can represent beauty positively, can represent caring positively, can also be representing nursing positively. In other sense, based on other people's experience, a word woman, the same woman can also represent what? Weakness, negatively. Can also what? Represent wickedness, negatively. Can also what? Represent frailty, negatively. This bring this bring us about the second item to be discussed in this module, which is register or registers and jargons. Register, as we can see from our screen, is a specialized use of language based on trade, based on profession, or based on an activity. For instance, we have different fields of human endeavor ranging from what, tourism, linguistics, law, medicine, football, and all these. All these have what? All these professions have specific use of language because they are what? They have specialized vocabularies they used in order to communicate between them, which a non-member of these professions may find it a bit difficult in understanding what they actually mean. Thus, it's difficult for a layman to or laymen to get to know simply or easily what the writers or what these texts are all about because of the use of what specialized use of language. You can agree with me that law have specific register to use. For instance, discharge unacquainted. For instance, plaintiff. For instance, jury. Also, in football, we have things like pitch. We have things like court. In linguistics, we do have things or items or words like phoneme, morpheme, sentences, and all these. Yes, as we can see on the screen, these are the examples of some professions and their what registers, the special or specialized use of language. Number one, can we see prosecutor, read, plaintiff, defendant, mandamus. In linguistics, also, we can have allophone, plosive. In politics, we have controversy, gracious, candidate, canvas, veto. In religion, we have blasphemy. We have heresy. We have Islam and all this. In medicine, we have acute. We have things like words like endema, fracture, malignant, acute abrasion, and all this. Yes, unlike a register, jargons also represent specialized use of language. But what actually make jargon and register differ is the fact that the use of language in jargons is obscure, pretentious, is pompous. The speaker is trying, in other sense, to impress the audience. Take a look at the example on the screen. Example 1, Jalopy's circumnavigates. This simply means cars move. Cars move represent a register, while Jalopy's circumnavigates, the speaker is trying to embrace the audience, is trying to attract attention, and this may serve as barrier between the speaker and the listener, or between the writer and the reader. Because once someone is trying to impress the audience, the essence of communication may be hindered, may be truncated. Yes, this brings us to the third item on the list to be discussed in this module, which is a phrasal verb. Phrasal verb is simply a combination of verb and particle, or particles, because it may be more than one. Particle or particles can be an adverb or a preposition, or you can have them both having as what? Particle to a verb. Such use of language is mostly what? Idiomatic, but in certain instances is what? Literal. But most of phrasal verbs, because they are informal, they are idiomatic. And in certain instances, we can have separable phrasal verbs. Separable in the sense that one can decide to separate between the verb and the particle with an object. For instance, can we see on the screen? V, that's representing verb, plus particle. Call af. If a several phrasal verb, we can have call the strike af. At the milk up. The third example exemplifies a situation where you have a verb and particles. The first one is an adverb, while the second one is a preposition. As I said, a phrasal verb can be idiomatic and can be literal. Idiomatic in the sense that meanings of the combination cannot be simply deduced from the words that make up the combination. For instance, look down. Look down, meaning to disrespect. To disrespect. Can you deduce the meaning of look down from the word look and down? I guess we can't. Yes, this is also exemplifying what we have explained before, that phrasal verbs can be divided into separable and non-separable phrasal verbs, meaning we can decide to separate between the verb and the particle with an object in the case of separable phrasal verbs, and we can't separate between the verb and the particle in case of non-separable phrasal verbs. Can we see on the board? That's on the screen. Break down. Break the topic down. It's called a separable phrasal verb because we can insert an object in between the verb and the particle. Take a look at the non-separable phrasal verbs. You cannot take a word or an object between. Look for. Hold on. Try to insert an object. You can notice that you can't, or the combination cannot take any word or any object between the verb and the particle, be it an adverb or a preposition. Yes, what's also here is also exemplifying what we have taken before in the course of our explanation of the concept of phrasal verbs. We have taken what separable and non-separable phrasal verbs. We are now on to literal and non-literal. If we like, we can divide phrasal verbs into literal and idiomatic phrasal verbs. Literal, we can deduce that the combination, the meaning of the overall combination can be deduced from the meanings of the individual words that make up the combination. Most phrasal verbs are literal. Non-literal is where you cannot take up, or rather you cannot deduce the meanings of the overall combination from the individual words that make up the combination. We have taken a look down before, meaning to disrespect. Another example can be hang on, fast bear. Sit up, pay attention. Sit up, pay attention. Yes. The fourth and the last item to be discussed is the concept of idiom. Idiom is simply what? Group of words whose meaning cannot be deduced or predicted from the meaning of the individual words that make up the combination. Meaning, the meanings of idioms is not clear, it's mostly opaque, and words there in the combination do not extend the actual meaning of the idiom, or rather the actual meaning, yes, of the idiom. Take a look at the word on the screen, or the idiom on the screen. He kicked the bucket. Literally, Someone kicking the bucket as if he's using his legs, or rather his leg, to kick the bucket. But the actual meaning is what? To die. Sitting on the fence. The literal meaning can be what? Sitting on the fence or on the wall. But the literal or the idiomatic meaning is what? To be in between. Therefore, medium or the idioms simply extend what? The meanings which the individual words cannot convey. Rather, one cannot arrive at the exact meaning of the individual or rather of the combination from the meaning of the individual words that make up the combination. Yes, as we are explaining, these are some of the examples given of the idioms. Beat around the bush to avoid talking about what's important. Hit the sack, go to sleep. Good things come to first who wait. Have patience. Back against the wall. Stuck in the difficult circumstance with no escape. These are also examples. Scrap the barrel, making most of the worst situation or things because you can't do anything about it. Break afresh, doing something that has never been done before. Run around in circles, putting efforts into something that is not worthwhile results. Yes, these are also examples of idioms. Cut corners, doing something in an easier and least expensive manner. Bell the ocean, taking up almost impossible or overly ambitious projects. Therefore, these are all examples. As we can see, we cannot deduce the meanings of the overall combination from the individual words that make up the combination. This is all about idioms. Lastly, in our discussion of the concept of idioms, is one of the differences between idioms and word classes we know, or parts of speech we know. Although idioms are being considered as single words, however, they don't function as single words. We know words or parts of speech to have different characteristics. For instance, nouns do take certain inflectional endings to form plurality, either s or es. For instance, verbs do take grammatical forms s in third person singular, ing to form present continuous tense, ed to form past tense or past participle tense. This is not the case for idioms. Semantically, if you can remember, they are considered as single words. But because nouns dominate idioms, we cannot just say that nouns in the idioms should take either s or es to form their plural marker. No, this is not the case. For instance, take a look at the example, to kick the bucket. This is an idiom. But we cannot say to kick the buckets because bucket there is a noun. No, this is not the case. See also on the screen, to spill the bean cannot be so because we have it as to spill the beans. This is the original idiom we have. Therefore, we don't expect nouns or verbs in idiomatic expressions to be taking certain inflectional endings or grammatical forms other word classes are taking. Therefore, idioms are semantically considered as one, but grammatically they don't take or behave like other single words. This brings us to the end of this lecture. That is Module 1. And is the end of the slides and the boson. We now have 6 modules left to cover the content of the course. Thank you for listening.